Hello and welcome to the Loose Butthole Reviews. I'm your host Smokey, and joining with me as always is my co-host Spooge.
Hello.
And before we get into the review proper, I gotta give the 3 rules of our rating system. The first rule is it must be a fraction of 5. 1 means we hate it, 5 means we love it. Rule number 2, if we want our money back, we give it a good old Jeff Goldblum. And rule number 3, if everybody agrees that's doing the review that it gets a God tier, a 6 out of 5, then it will get a 6 out of 5, a God tier. And today we are reviewing Belladonna of Sadness. I just had the Wikipedia from 1973. From 1973. Directed by a Ichi Yamamoto, I want to say. That's how you pronounce that?
Mm-hmm. Ichi Yamamoto.
And this is actually a first, not the first, but this is the third and final entry of an adult-oriented trilogy known as Anorama. The first two being 1001 Nights and Cleopatra. So we'll have to definitely have to check those out. And before we actually started the review, which I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being a Loosey Goosey, but before you said you did no research, correct?
Oh no, yeah. I just watched Vox Machina all day.
Well, that's about as much research that you can do with this. It is based on the 1862 book Satanism and Witchcraft by Jules Michelet.
I'm very aware of that.
So yeah, and it was not this was the only film that wasn't co-directed or written with a Osamu Tezuka. I am fucking that name up. He left in the early stages to go work on a manga of this movie, so he actually had no part in this whatsoever.
Gotcha.
And
but he had the part in the movies before.
Yeah, the 2 movies before as well.
Gotcha.
And let's see here. It used visual consistent. Most paintings panned across. Yeah. And this movie was very this film was a commercial failure. And this was.
Boo.
Yeah, this was definitely a commercial failure, and it wasn't the defining factor, but it was like one of the final nails in the coffin for Mushi Productions, the production company behind this, and they went bankrupt at the end of the year that this came out.
It kind of, I could definitely see this being really niche in that time, like only like kind of like snobby people really like watching this. I could definitely see this like not reaching the general public, especially of 1973, unless you were like, oh, you had a cool friend that took you to like this cool theater that happened to be showing it, and you'd like drop some acid and watch it.
Oh yeah, and this definitely being the fact that this production company went bankrupt in the 70s. No, there's no interviews or anything have survived from this time period. This movie was actually.
I'm surprised.
I believe it was going to be a lost. There was a slight time period where this could have been just lost media.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm surprised there's even a dub.
There's not a dub.
Oh yeah, wait, it's subbed. I forgot.
There's actually not a dub.
I forgot. It kind of like brought me so into the film, I kind of forgot I was reading the dialogue.
Yeah, it's
always good.
it does that, but apparently there is
Well, I'm
there's
surprised
some
we got a sub though too.
true. There's some miscommunication about the length of the movie. Apparently it is only 86 minutes long, which that is the version that we watched. That is
Hmm.
the correct runtime, apparently. But there is a version that is out there. I didn't find it. That is 93 minutes long.
Mm.
Yeah, so the people somewhere found this movie and was like, we need to restore and keep this alive. Yeah,
Mm.
and so that's the only way we have this. It's
And it seems like we're missing like a little bit over 10 minutes.
maybe I felt like it was kind of complete.
Mm. I mean, I could definitely see how it probably would be an important thing, but it would probably still be some other like striking scenes. So I'm a little curious to what
But
we missed.
yeah, that's pretty much the that's all the production stuff from Belladonna of Sadness. There's
I wish we knew more about that because, like, I know sometimes, when people like revitalize something, sometimes they'll edit it in a way to help the film. So, like, I wonder if they just like maybe even are like, oh, well, we're not gonna bother getting the full 90 minutes because like this 10 minutes is just like reused, like images anyway. Maybe for
apparently
like another.
that it was 8 minutes was an unsuccessful re-release in Japan in 1979. So I'm going to
Mm.
assume that version was not. Yeah. Oh shit, we got so lucky. The version that you go out and fucking um was this would have been completely censored actually if it wasn't for Cinemax in Belgium,
Oh.
which just had the sole surviving 35 millimeter release print of the full length version. So,
Yes, of course, Belgium. They're gonna free the titty.
dude, this this movie like gets so fucking lucky. You know how many movies have literally just rotted away that we will never fucking be able to see because of shit
Hmm.
like that, like because the only copy was given to some random ass fucking movie
Hmm.
theater, and the movie theaters are long gone, and most of the 8 millimeter and 35 millimeter fucking all the film that they had, nobody was paying attention to that shit and just threw it away.
Hmm. I'm still waiting for the day the clown cried.
Just fucking just just knowing that somebody was holding this original, like that there was one employee that kept looking at this at that, and they was like, I'm not sure if I should get rid of this or not. Like he kept on asking himself that every time he looked at it. He was like, why am I even keeping this?
Didn't that almost happen to because didn't it, with what was it Ma fuck Magawag, you know what I'm talking about,
uh uh
Mogwai, the
ma, ma,
Mogwai.
Magwagwi, yeah, it almost,
You know
yeah,
what I'm talking about.
yeah. To be honest,
Yeah.
there's missing it. It didn't get the same treatment though because this was lucky enough to have a intact, complete version just off in storage.
Hmm.
Mongwangwi is heavily damaged. Even the copy, even the surviving
Yeah.
print that we have today is.
It reminded me because it's like when you were saying the one theater that has it.
I wonder if there is one theater that does have a surviving print of Mongwagwi and they just haven't checked their fucking storage. that's that's the one thing that I wish we did a lot better was the preservation of media. We have
Oh yeah.
done we have done a piss poor job on that. Like we have
We'll just.
inadvertently
Mm.
created FOMA, and we don't need it. Like there's no need for it.
Especially in the internet age, but now we just like we'll throw it into a tax hell too.
Yeah, just like a weird limbo where it doesn't actually exist anymore, but it still
Mm.
exists.
Yeah, it's like, well, you still can't get the rights for it, so it's like, so it still has to somehow exist if you can't, use the media. It's weird. It is like a limbo. Luckily, with things like Johnny Bravo, they had previous like releases,
Yeah,
that
and
you can at least find on like eBay.
I was also gonna say there's there's always that one person that recorded every episode on a VHS. It quality's not the best, but
Hmm. And you know what? Johnny Bravo might actually been saved by being like put in a tax cell because I mean we don't want today's reboot of that.
oh no, oh no, oh just imagine a wokeified Johnny Bravo. Just
It was already woke. They already had a really great, actually like good woke episode. I think
let,
that's actually how they finished it all. I think that was
but
one of the
no,
last episodes. This is the last season
let
when he
me
became a woman.
restate. Let me rephrase that. Imagine Johnny Bravo written by the same motherfuckers that wrote Velma.
Yeah.
That kind of wokeified.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess it shouldn't be called wokeified. I guess I'm insulting wokeified. It's more of a not in touch. It's just the writers are definitely
It's
not in
Hollywood.
touch.
It's Hollywood wokeism.
Fake
The worst kind.
wokeism. Definitely fake
Yeah.
wokeism. It's like the
Lens
fakest
through
shit.
people who don't really have to deal with anything.
that and
Sometimes.
that and people that are too old to connect with the youth, but they're
Yeah. They're
desperately
trying
trying to
too hard.
connect to. It's like,
Oh yeah.
oh, you don't try that hard. You don't. But
Mhm.
that.
No, but what's not fucking fake woke is this fucking goddamn movie. This movie's
Oh, dude,
fucking.
it has like the most progressive fucking. To be honest, I'm still kind of contemplating what the message is, but no matter what
I could
message I
totally.
get, it's still like a very
Mhm.
progressive. Like for the 70s in
Mhm.
Japan, the messages
Oh
that
yeah.
you can portray from it are like so progressive.
Hmm. And what's funny because I think there's a little bit more to it. I don't think it's like the full message of the film, but you could definitely get like a pro kind of like Satanism message from this too, because there's like a lot of it that kind of seems like you know what I mean.
Maybe I can kind of see where you get that from, but I can also see where there's a huge negative towards it because there is a in the movie I totally saw them as trying to portray as masculinity as like the ultimate like sexual masculinity. I'm gonna state that, and
Hmm.
that it's like the ultimate evil that like
Hmm.
you have to overcome, and once you overcome it, then you'll finally like be
Hmm.
empowered. That's what I get. Like you could
Yeah.
see because the they made the devil a penis. So
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see some people seeing that as like a as an insult to the
Hmm.
like they literally made him a fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But it was made.
I can see
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you're coming from. I just also want to point out I saw it more as like an insulting thing than a paying homage to type situation. especially when at the very beginning when he's the very tiny penis, like that definitely was definitely
But
seemed
I definitely,
extremely insulting. But he does gain
yeah.
power and get bigger and more throbbing as the
And also one thing that he says is a lot is that there's a lot of connection with her with him too, and I almost kind of see him sort of as like, I mean he's the way he is because of like the trauma that has been onto her, but he is like almost like I mean like personification of her hate and rage, you know, and her want for power from being put in like a powerless situation. and
yeah.
uh and also I especially the part when she's like when she's in like that uh, like in like I guess hell or whatever, but it's like beautiful, you know, and she's all like covered in flowers and stuff, but he says that her hate and rage is beautiful. Like who you know, like who says that your hate and rage is like ugly, you know? So you could definitely see it like as a, you know, like in like the Levian type of Satanism where you're your own god and sort of your own making, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It all depends on if you're looking at the devil in this as
Mm-hmm. Because I
just
definitely
a
think she's
character.
justified in her hate.
Oh yeah, yeah. That definitely. I
Mm-hmm.
to to a point. There some hate towards certain individuals that I feel. Well, just one individual. It's Gene. That I feel even Gene was put in a bad situation that he should have removed himself from. That everybody should remove himself from. Gene got a
Oh
bad
yeah.
rap. Gene
Mm-hmm.
got a bad rap. I know
I hated Gene.
I know what he fucking did. I saw. I fucking saw. I'm not saying it was right. Just want to put the context of what the man was going through. All right, pretty much everything has been stripped from him. His whole like masculinity. He's been forcefully. Got to make sure put emphasis on the forcefully cucked at the very beginning of this. Not only that, but they pretty much fucking take all his farm, like all his cows and shit. You just
Mm-hmm.
take everything away from him. And then then he becomes the dependent. He fucking
Mm-hmm.
becomes the goddamn, like he's the one dependent on her making the money and everything, and so he gets fucking depressed, and he
Mm-hmm.
starts drinking, and oh, what nothing ever good happens at this point. This is the point where the situation got out of control, out of hand, and I was like, God damn it, Gene.
And I can understand a lot of his feelings, but there's one thing that I can't forgive: snitching.
Yeah,
And
he fucking snitched.
he did it
He
a
did.
lot. He snitched multiple times.
That is fucking true. He did snitch.
Hmm. He should have just accepted the role reversal. I would have been
Just,
happy.
but before he started snitching, it was more of a he's going through kind of going through it too. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. Like Gene is a good stand-in for like just because you are not the one that is accosted doesn't mean you are not
Oh yeah.
advertly affected by it in some kind of way. Like it
Mm.
reverberates. That's the kind of action that took place in the beginning of this movie
Yeah.
reverberates like throughout not just the immediate family, but the community as a whole.
Hmm.
That's what I was seeing. Like this was a
Yeah.
very very strong PSA against molestation. That's what I thought
Hmm.
that's the message that I got was like, yeah, no, molestation is very bad. Yeah,
Hmm.
I got it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like the whole thing is definitely like a, a great. I mean, overall, the whole movie is just like a great like pain of a woman. Like having to deal with a self-destructive man that you even if he's not good for you, you can't help but love him. And he's your whole world.
Yeah, but
And like the struggles of being vulnerable in like the world, just I mean, raping you. At every
I
at every corner.
that Gene didn't do that. Gene didn't do that.
I know that Gene didn't do that. I was just saying that the world, like
Okay,
I
yeah,
was just saying, like in
just
the context of the
making.
movie, just like in the woman experience, just like the world just kind of coming at you. You're kind of this vulnerable, you know.
Yeah, and I just want to point it like Jean becomes an afterthought. Like she eventually does leave him and end up being her
Once she fully
own.
accepts Satan, yeah. But there's still that love
I
there, like
don't
even when
think
they meet
I don't
again
think
finally.
now I know she does accept saying I don't think it was ever a full on. I think it was more of a an opportunistic acceptance.
Hmm.
Like it was her way of because she ends up uh I know that they said that a witch burned with her pride and tact will spread amongst the populace, kind of foreshadowing and spoiling the ending. But she wins, like not even Satan wins, but it's she wins at the end.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
she's among like to be honest, I would say there's like this weird hive mind now that exists of her, just just some
Hmm.
weird like collective consciousness.
Yeah. Understand that. Definitely,
But
it's definitely like it. I definitely feel like this movie is definitely like open with different interpretations too, with like different things you could accept as different things. Like if, especially if you look at it through like Satan really being sort of her trauma, like personified,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I can
because
see
like a
that.
lot of her, like a lot of those things in like the night. I mean, if you just like imagine that that devil thing wasn't there, and, if someone couldn't see, I mean, that could just be like a very much kind of like a PTSD thing, especially of like the trauma that she went through,
Oh
you
yeah, for
know.
sure.
And I could
Yeah,
definitely
I
see
get
that
that.
that kind of like that the devil kind of representing like the hate for herself also, and like all the how she feels that's like when she was in the heaven too, she said that she should be like a wicked old crone,
Mhm.
because I mean she feels guilty for like what happened to her too, because it's like, I mean Jean can't really even look at her.
Yeah, well, that that's what I was kind of getting at earlier when I was saying that this kind of action reverberates throughout. Like even if it don't like that plays into it.
Hmm. But she does find a lot of power through like, with Satan too. I mean, and it's, things usually are
That
going well
I can
until like
see that
the.
as a kind of like a metaphoric stand-in for the women that do go through this kind of abuse and they end up using sex as like their number one tool. You know
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like that's how they operate afterwards for some reason.
Hmm.
Instead of
Yeah, I
like
could see that too.
instead of it being a deterrent from them being sexually active, it awakens something that was I'm not saying that was there, but it awakens something within the abuse victim
Hmm.
that they channel they channel their energy
Yeah, the
into
the
the very
worldview gets
thing.
skewed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel it happens at a very particular point in like when they're hitting puberty. That I feel
I
that's
definitely
the
could be an
kicking.
adaptation. Yeah,
Yeah, like
unfortunately.
it happens not when they're very like at the tipping age around like 13 years old seems to be like you either gonna get a very dis a very unsocial child afterwards, or an extremely unhealthy sociable child that ends up hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, it could lead to hypersexuality or asexuality.
Yeah, it's weird that it can lead both ways. I you
Mm.
you would think that instead of it leading to hypersex, that it would only lead to asexuality.
Well, it's like with seeing like a horde being exposed to a violent horrid act too, and some people like it's all of these things are a brain scramble, especially for someone who doesn't understand yet. So I definitely feel like it's sort of like rolling a bunch of dice of like how it affects someone.
Oh, now
Like
do
with
you understand why I wanted a female on this fucking review? Like,
oh yeah.
this one was so hard. Like, I almost called this one. I was like, if we gotta have at least one chick on this one. I was
I
gonna
definitely
call it. Like,
this would be a hard one for Murda to get through, definitely.
I completely
Especially with
understand.
the
Like,
demon.
we will definitely just hold off until and hopefully one day we'll just like have to do a redux of this, because I just don't feel like we're the ones qualified to unmask and
Yeah.
and fucking go deep into this movie. Like it's
Yeah,
just
because all I have really for a theory is like, from what I've been saying, it's like it's sort of like a interpretation maybe of like finding individuality, especially in the time when a woman being like finding empowerment would have been seen as satanic. So I thought that's why I kind of saw like it was like a duality. Like this thing is also like negative because it shows her weakness, and her hatred and stuff like that. But then
yeah.
also there's the beauty of it too, of like the independence.
Yeah, and I totally can see where you were getting from that. I was just saying that that's not what I get. It is definitely
Yeah.
I get more that you you really can't be doing the molestations. You can't.
Hmm.
you
And there's
that's
definitely some empowerment thing I feel like I'm kind of missing because I feel like there's definitely some importance at the end of the film because it showed like like revolutionary like women in
I
history.
well apparently according to the Wikipedia, uh apparently the it ends with her burning with the at the she burns the faces of the villagers transform into her, fulfilling the priest warning that if a witch is burnt with while her pride is intact, her the evil in her soul will survive and spread to influence everyone around her. Centuries
Yeah.
later, the influence of the spirit initiated the French Revolution. So that apparently
Fuck it.
that was like the actual French Revolution.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah,
going to assume there was a
that speaks to what
missing.
I've been saying too.
I guess that's where some of the missing footage is from, because that
Yeah.
was very abrupt. Like I was not,
Hmm.
it was not clear that was the French Revolution going on.
Yeah.
Maybe there was like a narrator that said it, because I don't remember them saying anything about. Did they? I don't remember,
I think a little bit.
because I have to put this
It might have just showed
this
it.
this is I feel like I took acid after watching this movie. Like it
Oh yeah.
and not like real like it the kind of acid that you don't really want to take. Like it was a good trip, but it fucked with me hard. Like it did. It
You
was a
didn't want it, but you needed
like it was like
it.
it put me in a headspace that I did not want to be in. It is like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is a wake up call that I did not prepare myself for. This is. I came into this knowing that it was gonna be kind of rough, but oh, was that just an understatement? That you gotta buckle up, Buttercup, for this one. This is not a your every average day. I think I know what we're gonna give it, but this is the one of the very few of that quality, of the caliber of movie that this is. I I I can't suggest it. I can suggest Angel's Egg to everybody, but I cannot suggest this to I have to really know you. Like I have to know what kind of movies you're into, and I have to know that you have a a strong stomach, because this you gotta have an ironclad fucking soul for this one. Like this rocked me to the core. I can definitely say that. You know what? I think it's time. I think we can get in final thoughts. I'm 5 out of 5. Fucking right off the bat, you gotta, if you can find just like a non-subtitled censored not a heavily censored version of this, maybe show this to your high schooler. Because the art, everybody needs to, the art alone is so beautiful. Of course, the story that is taking place is very harrowing, a very rough story to get through, but it's going through it with this art, it's like it's an acid trip without taking acid, and I want it. And I know that I just said what I just said, but I'm gonna be happy to have to take it again. I want to break down and really dissect this movie, but I just can't, because I'm not qualified to be honest. Like this movie, we should have, I should have held. This was a big boy movie. This to review, and I was not. Turns out, I'm not as big boy as I thought I was. Like
you have to leave your big boy pants on my desk and your gun.
I can get through the house that Jack built a million times without getting disturbed, but I don't know about this one. I'm not sure. It could go either way. It could be every time I watch this, it gets harder and harder for me to watch, or every time I watch it, it's just like the art. I can't look away. Like I should want to look away, but I can't look away. And yeah, so 5 out of 5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, same here, 5 out of 5, which definitely makes it a god tier.
You best believe we're giving this a god tier.
Cue the god tier.
Then a god am. the top? I can never tell.
Hey, yay, we back from the God tease. So, give your final thoughts, Spooge.
I mean, visual journey is an understatement. A visual epic. Uh, I could definitely. I wasn't disturbed. I wasn't like bothered by the narration and some of like the over explaining and stuff. But I definitely agree with you. Like this just without subtitles and stuff would just be kind of a fun trip to have. You know. Um,
Oh, yeah.
I could definitely see how this was kind of like the time when a lot of like cinema rules weren't really like laid down. You could kind of like tell with like around this time would have been also like I think a little later though, but would have been like Wizards, where they kind of had that like some clunky like narration, just to kind of like, oh, this is a way to get the plot out that we don't really
Yeah,
know how to explain
being
otherwise,
very experimental with it.
But I always love it because it's like someone reading me a storybook. So it has its own charm. Um, but I mean, the music in this, is also
It was like
is
watching an hour-long music video, and I
primo.
loved it.
Which I had some of these same artists like already. I knew from like a bunch of compilations I found on Spotify, but I've definitely been listening to a lot of the soundtrack.
Nice. Fuck yeah.
hmm
It definitely is like one long music video.
hmm
There's got to be one
That's
band that this is their whole gimmick, is just this movie. There's got to be one.
Oh, that'd be sweet. That'd be cool to see this like some playing it live, like with this movie in the background.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But but yeah, I mean, it's very. I mean, if you just want to dive into a beautiful but also horrific, uh, like just feeling through like I guess the struggle of womanhood in general. I guess just to give this a very general summary, uh, definitely highly recommend, but definitely be forewarned of sexual violence because that's pretty much the energy of this movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We
And
probably
it's
should have gave a big
nothing.
fat
It's
warning
it
before we even started.
yeah. And weirdly, it's like there's definitely like movies that would show a more less subtle thing, like of course, like the scene in like a Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave. It's like horrific and stuff, but this isn't really like exactly like that. This is more in an artistic way, and that it. I think it makes it a lot more effective too. It makes it a lot more haunting with what it portrays.
Oh yeah, a lot more haunting. I felt it. Like I said, I could still feel the weight of the moment from how they depicted
hmm
it.
Yeah, yeah, got to.
Yeah, that is Belladonna of Sadness. If you've been listening to us this long, thank you for tuning in to this Loosey Goosey. We definitely are gonna have to give this a redux in the future. This
Oh,
one's getting a redux. But if you've been listening this long, thank you so much. Please leave a like. Comment what you think about this movie in the comment section down below, and share this video around. That helps the channel, apparently. I would not know. Could not tell you if that actually is the truth. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I know that helps. That does help. Yeah. And this is when I go, hey, you gotta sign off?
snitches get stitches and power to witches.
Yeah, boy. And I'm gonna go with my favorite. Cats die. Music fades. Art is for keeps. And this motherfucker is for keeps. Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah, he'll see.
Yeah, boy. This will be a bye-bye.
Bye bye.